Tourists' public defecation in Tiananmen Square creates overwhelming stench during flag-raising ceremony. China hit by disasters, hailstorms likened to bullets, 6 dead in landslide. Massive explosion at Jiangxi chemical plant, enormous black mushroom cloud soars into the sky, resembling an inferno. A large number of CCP members have died from the epidemic. Authorities rarely admit the decline in net increase. The true purpose of Renminbi internationalization. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Tourists' public defecation in Tiananmen Square creates overwhelming stench during flag-raising ceremony. A patriotic account on mainland Chinese social media made a revelation about an incident during the flag-raising ceremony at Tiananmen Square on July 1st. Around 4 a.m., a tourist in the midst of the crowd watching the ceremony had an urgent need to relieve themselves and ended up defecating right there before swiftly leaving the scene. Given the large number of people present, the feces ended up being trampled upon, resulting in a pervasive and overpowering stench that filled the entire square. It took the sanitation workers over 10 minutes to completely clean up the area. Twitter users, in response, couldn't help but mock the situation, interpreting it as an ominous sign for the Chinese Communist Party, CCP. Furthermore, there were those who playfully speculated that it could be rebels intentionally carrying out a special act of defecation at Tiananmen Square during the July 1st period, aiming to repulse the CCP. Some individuals have even offered suggestions to the Chinese Communist authorities. Proposed measures: 1. Install a dense network of surveillance cameras to monitor individuals squatting down. 2. Place signage stating a fine of 5,000 yuan for public defecation. 3. Offer complimentary plastic bags and toilet paper beneath the signs. Despite the CCP's continued grand-scale celebrations for July 1st, the response from the general public has been markedly contrasting. On July 1st, a Twitter user posed a thought-provoking question, asking what people would like to say to the evil CCP on its 102nd anniversary. The result was an influx of comments from numerous netizens, expressing their hopes for the prompt dissolution of the CCP, disband immediately, stop causing harm to people, all right? Hurry up and seek solace with your ancestor, Karl Marx. Happy birthday. May you find eternal peace soon. We can't bear it any longer. Please expedite the process. Here's to hoping that next year, we can celebrate the first anniversary of your demise. China hit by disasters, hailstorms likened to bullets, 6 dead in landslide. Recently, several regions in mainland China have been hit by disasters. On July 1st, according to a report by Time Video, a subsidiary of Beijing radio and television station, a sudden hailstorm descended upon Ning'an City in Mudanjiang, Heilongjiang Province. Residents and vehicle owners within the local neighborhoods found themselves grappling with shattered glass caused by the relentless barrage. Eyewitnesses described the size of the hailstones as being as large as chicken eggs. Many videos circulating online depict the aftermath of the hailstorm, showing damaged car windows, continuous hail pelting residential windows, and shattered glass with visible marks on walls across multiple buildings. Residents expressed the extent of the damage, noting its widespread and fragmented nature. Some even pointed out a neighboring building, exclaiming, "Look at that one across the street, it's completely demolished." The Ning'an City Meteorological Observatory issued an orange hailstorm warning, alerting residents to the possibility of hail, weak tornadoes, intense but short-lived rainfall, and vigorous convective weather featuring wind gusts reaching 9 to 10 on the Beaufort scale, potentially peaking at 11. Meanwhile in Hangzhou, from the night of June 30th to the morning of July 1st, heavy to torrential rains hit towns in the western and eastern parts of Chunnan County, with Jiangjia town experiencing extremely heavy rainfall. The towns of Jiangjia, Lingchuan, and Zhuqing, among others, in the county were affected by floods, mudslides, and landslides, causing farmland inundation, road blockages, and damage to infrastructure. Some villagers had to be evacuated. On June 30th, the Finshui town in Wanzhou district, Chongqing, also suffered from the heavy rain disaster. According to local government sources, a house in Finshui town was buried in a landslide on the evening of the 30th, resulting in the loss of 6 lives. Massive explosion at Jiangxi chemical plant, enormous black. On the morning of July 1st, a horrifying explosion occurred at a chemical plant in Guishi City, Jiangxi Province. The scene was engulfed in flames, with a thick, black mushroom cloud rising into the sky, resembling a scene from hell. Notably, it coincided with the CCP's founding day on July 1st. The chemical plant belongs to Jiangxi Gantai New Materials Company, Limited. According to the Xinjiangbei report, the manager of another company affected by the fire stated that it started with a small fire in a container, and initially, their employees helped to extinguish it. However, the fire grew more intense and eventually led to an explosion. Eyewitnesses said that the incident occurred around 10 a.m., accompanied by a loud explosion and thick smoke. Videos and photos uploaded by netizens also show the massive scale of the fire at the explosion site, with a dense black smoke forming a large mushroom cloud rising upward, occasionally accompanied by explosive sounds. According to officials from the Guishi Emergency Management Bureau, they received reports stating that it was not an explosion, but due to the involvement of chemicals in the fire, firefighting, emergency response, and environmental protection departments have been dispatched to the scene. It is currently known that all personnel at the accident site have been safely evacuated, and there have been no casualties. However, the official announcement should be relied upon for the actual situation. However, netizens are skeptical and do not believe that there were no casualties. The incident quickly became a hot topic, with people questioning how long the related news can stay online. Since it coincided with the CCP's founding anniversary, some netizens directly shared the explosion on July 1st as a gift to the party. Given that Jinggangshan in Jiangxi was the birthplace of the Chinese Communist Party and known as the birthplace of the Red Army, the irony of a major explosion occurring in Jiangxi on this particular day is evident. A large number of CCP members have died from the epidemic. Authorities rarely admit the decline in net increase. On June 30th, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, officially released statistics on party membership, rarely admitting that the net increase in CCP members in 2022 had declined for the first time in 5 years. According to the Statistical Bulletin on Party Membership within the Chinese government issued by the CCP Central Organization Department, as of December 31, 2022, the total number of CCP members was 98.041 million, with a net increase of 1.329 million compared to the end of 2021, representing a growth rate of 1.4%. This is the first time since 2018 that the net increase in CCP members has declined compared to the previous year. In comparison to 2020, the net increase in members decreased by 35,000. The accuracy of official CCP data has long been questioned by external observers. The reported membership statistics are suspected of being inflated. However, the rare admission by the authorities that the net increase in CCP members has declined for the first time in 5 years is highly unusual. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic 3 years ago, a large number of CCP members have been reported to have died across various regions in China. In March 2020, during the early stages of the outbreak, a list of deaths from within the CCP's own epidemic prevention personnel was exposed online. Over 80% of the individuals on the list were CCP members, and the vast majority of their causes of death were marked as dying from overwork, with none attributed to infection. The CCP authorities have been actively concealing the true extent of the pandemic and the number of deaths from infection. An anonymous official from Beijing's political and legal system once leaked information to Radio Free Asia, stating that during the CCP's 20th National Congress in October 2022, the infection rate within Beijing hospitals was already severe, but the authorities had been concealing it. By early December, the situation completely spiraled out of control, leading to the collapse of the healthcare system in Beijing and a significant number of deaths among retired high-ranking officials. During that time, the World Health Organization also repeatedly warned that the COVID-19 data provided by the CCP did not accurately reflect the number of infections in China, especially the death toll. Feng Zijian, former deputy director of the Chinese Center for Disease Control and Prevention, told China Youth Daily that in this wave of the epidemic, approximately 80% to 90% of the Chinese population would be infected. This would mean that over 1 billion people in China would be affected. As previously reported, to conceal the truth about the pandemic, the Chinese Communist Party, CCP, has stopped reporting the number of infections and deaths and, unusually, has ceased reporting data on cremations of bodies. In June of this year, the statistics released by the CCP from the central to the local level, as part of the civil affairs data, conspicuously lacked data on cremations, sparking discussions. Yanzhong Huang, a senior fellow for global health at the Council on Foreign Relations, told CNN that the data on cremations is crucial because it can provide relatively accurate information on excess deaths. By comparing the number of cremations during this period with previous years, researchers can calculate data on excess deaths, which can reveal how many people may have died from the novel coronavirus during that time. Huang stated, because this data is not included, it suggests that the number of excess deaths could be quite significant. The true purpose of Renminbi internationalization. For over a decade, the CCP has made great efforts to promote the internationalization of the renminbi, hoping to replace the US dollar, but with limited success. Consequently, the question arises, what is the CCP's ultimate aim in pursuing this endeavor? During an interview with NTD-TV, Li Shimin, an economic commentator and former CEO of Apple Community Information Network, shared his insights on this matter. After Russia's invasion of Ukraine last year, major banks were expelled from the SWIFT payment system, known as the Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Taking advantage of this situation, the CCP has vigorously promoted the use of the renminbi for settlements instead of the US dollar in Russia. However, a recent report from the Russian central bank pointed out that there are risks associated with transitioning to renminbi settlements due to the lack of free convertibility of the renminbi and the absence of hedging tools. Li stated, the US dollar actually has a high demand due to the issue of wars. We have seen that in the past few decades, whenever there is any crisis, the majority of the market's reaction is to first grab the US dollar and buy it. This demonstrates that despite the CCP's dedicated efforts to promote renminbi internationalization, the results have been modest. According to data from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the share of renminbi in global central bank reserves increased slightly from about 1% in 2016 to approximately 2.7%. However, this figure has declined steadily in 2022, reaching 2.69% in the first quarter, influenced by factors such as geopolitical risks. Over the years, the CCP has facilitated renminbi internationalization through trade swaps and settlement arrangements. The People's Bank of China has signed bilateral currency swap agreements with 40 countries and regions, but 11 of them have expired without renewal. Additionally, several countries have signed memorandums of understanding on renminbi clearing arrangements with China. Li analyzed that the CCP's ultimate goal in promoting the internationalization of the renminbi is not actually to encourage more people to use it. He said, "What is its ultimate goal? It is to be able to issue renminbi-denominated bonds internationally. They want to sell bonds worldwide, just like the United States. They see that the United States is able to sell bonds globally, and banks around the world hold US bonds as their ultimate assets. The capital of those banks is essentially comprised of US bonds." Why does the CCP want to issue bonds internationally? Li Shimin explained, because if you look at mainland China now, it's basically unable to sustain itself solely based on tax revenue. The only thing they can do to sustain themselves is to truly issue a large amount of bonds. From an implementation perspective, they want to expedite the process of renminbi internationalization, accelerate the pace. But it's not something that can be accelerated just by saying so, because the biggest problem is that China's economy is very weak. After a lackluster recovery following the end of the zero-COVID approach, the Chinese economy has disappointed international investors with various data this year. Recently, the exchange rate of the renminbi against the US dollar has continued to decline, reaching a new low since mid-November 2022. Li Shimin stated that in this situation, it is difficult to determine who the winners are with the depreciation of the renminbi. He said, from the perspective of the Chinese government, they have this need. It's hard to say if they have won anything. But initially, they wanted other countries to accept the renminbi as a trading currency. Other countries sold their goods to China and received renminbi in return. However, these renminbi have no way out, and I think they are the losers. It's not certain if anyone has really gained anything. There are certain things where everyone ends up being a loser, and I believe that the current situation of the renminbi poses an additional risk for both the CCP, the mainland Chinese population, and anyone who has economic ties with the CCP. In addition to the Russian central bank pointing out the existing risks in transitioning to renminbi settlements, European and American countries are also eager to de-risk with China. According to Li, these risks are real and understandable. European and American countries are now discussing ways to extract themselves from the risks associated with China, to de-risk with China. Because this policy actually has the potential to undermine value, everyone feels the need to manage this risk. In the end, there may be no winners, but there will definitely be losers. Looking at the current state of the CCP, it doesn't want to be a loser, even if it eventually becomes one. It wants others to lose more to be satisfied. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. Make sure to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths.